Peace, peace. Oh, peace, Max. It's good. It's good. So, peace, Sister Shia. Shalom to you. Already. Cool. So, we are back at it again. So, shalom, everybody. Welcome to Movies Innerstandings. I am Brother Lowe. It's just me. And here we are again with them. And we are finishing up, wrapping it all up with 9 and 10, right? And it's been a interesting and wonderful ride with this. It has got me to think of many things, and hopefully they all come out from what I was thinking when I watched the last parts. So first we see that they had a Bible verse, Psalms 133 verse 1. Behold how good and how pleasant it is when God's people live together in unity. let's just get this out. That passage is for you. Okay, you got many perpetrators, but it's for you. Remember that passage. That there's a message right there. For guys or y'all's chosen people, to live together in unity, and let that be a purpose to strive for in your own life and with those surround you. That should be the purpose of any community, to live together in unity. So I would say, keep that to heart and minds and everything, and but we see the man in the black hat. He's lamenting over his wife and son dying. Well, this is basically the mid 1800s, and life expectancy is not very high. So, especially when they start moving out west, anything can happen. So it didn't surprise me that he loses his wife and son, and he questions God and things of that nature. But one thing that interested me is when he was talking about how community sickens him. Community sickens him. I think just pay close attention of what he says, because that sort of plays out in this episode, how the community sickens him and possibly why. But one of my predictions came through. He's Dutch, so now I can place the accent. Oh, he's Dutch. He's from the Netherlands. Okay, got you. But he comes across a child hiding in thorn bushes, and then he's led by that same child, which he basically fosters, and they find a black couple on a covered wagon, and their wheel has gone out. Now, mind you, this black couple, we'll say their names later, but they make the same mistake that the Emerys did. You can really say that they made the same mistake that the Emerys did. One, they basically went out west by themselves. You have a man and his pregnant wife. First off, realistically, you wouldn't do that if you're going out west. Look, it's wild. It's the wild frontier. Okay, we just got the Louisiana Purchase pretty much, and we're exploring out westward, and you wouldn't go in the cover wagon by yourself. I mean, Native Americans get you, depending on which tribe, and if you win good with them or not. And I mean, you got lions and tigers and bears, and then let's not talk about the diseases, smallpox, consumption, a bunch of stuff. Okay, cholera, things of that nature. You wouldn't go by yourself. But it's just two people. Usually you went with a wagon train. You wouldn't go with one wagon. And not only that, wheels at that time, usually on a covered wagon, they would have a spare wheel because that was known to happen. So as well as having the tar to stick it together, make sure that it stays. A caravan pretty much. But a covered wagon caravan, per se, and you just wouldn't have just wing it. Like that. You become well prepared for the journey because it's also survival, and you can end up dead quick. And not only that, you would not make this trek, in that it'll take months. It'll take months to get from, basically the East Coast, to the West Coast at this time, because all you got is mules, horses, and things like that. So it's going to take some time, to get there. It's going to take a long time, pretty much. So you wouldn't go by yourself, but they meet him, and he welcomes them and talks about his community is loyal to God, not the church, which pretty much is like a snide remark to Catholicism. You gotta remember Protestant Reformation. Usually, in Catholicism at this time and before that, people's loyalty was to the church and Pope and things of that nature. And when the Protestant Reformation comes around, it does away with all of that. For those that don't know, which was started by Martin Luther. So. We also find out, as they come to this Dutch community, we find out as the people are talking, we find out that the Civil War is going on, and we find out, that Oregon, the state of Oregon, expelled Black homesteaders, which is true. Oregon achieved statehood in 1859, and it was blatantly racist from its inception. Black people could not, own land and things of that nature. You can own land in Oregon until 1926. So that goes to show you, how blatantly racist. People think that it's just the South. No. It's the West too. My Baba used to say, he said this about California. He said, California ain't nothing but a West Coast Mississippi. And yeah. And it's not just California, it's Oregon too. It's amazing. You talk to people from the West Coast and they tell you these things. Like my friend was from Cali, and when she lived in Oregon for a time, she had to go because she was like, they blatantly racist up here. It's like, yeah, pretty much, And so, you have these Dutch settlers, blaming, basically Grafton and his wife, saying, your people, tore the country apart. Mind you, these are immigrants talking. They ain't been here that long. And that's gonna be another thing. You have immigrants seeing all these things when at this point in time they were immigrants persecuted themselves. If you were Italian, Irish, Dutch, German, you were persecuted too because you weren't from here. And you were here to steal jobs and things of that nature and work for lower wages and things of that nature. And the American Anglo-Saxons had, reservations about you too. you know. But it's interesting that it was a Dutch settlement, because when I think of that, I also think of New York. What was New York called before that? New Amsterdam. Where's Amsterdam? Things of that nature. For those some of y'all that want to know some history. So, but but they one thing that was interesting is that they're trying to dig a second well, and they don't know how far to dig, so they go to Grafton. um and just by touching the land and things of that nature, he's like, well, about two more feet. And they don't want to they don't believe him or whatever, but he gets in the well and does it himself. And as that happening, a sewing circle is happening. For those that want to see what a sewing circle is, that's a sewing circle. Where you have the women around sewing and gossiping. And so they're talking to Martha, Grafton's wife, and they're asking what language her people spoke. And she's like, well, I don't know, and things of that nature, and we speak English now, but they laugh at her. And they also ask, how does babies come out of her, basically, going with the stereotypes and things of that nature. And and they make jokes, which already you can see, they're in a hostile environment, and it's poor leadership and direction to stay in this environment, when you're already meeting animosity. You just can't go by what one person tells you. Oh, we're just a community of good, God-loving people, God-fearing people. But already you see that they have certain reservations and jokes about you, quite like the people that that you probably left from, but peace system auction. And so after that, the community gets together and talking about expelling them and ritually, and Elps, which is the man in the black hat, he goes to Leviticus 25 about them being property. And we also see where Elps also peeps on the black couple as they sleep, and he sees, a disfigured pregnant spirit. And we see his deterioration as he no longer sees himself as a servant of God, or what he calls God, but he says he's his brother. The hypocrisy came up pretty quick. Yeah, the hypocrisy is going to come up pretty quickly. And so after that, we see Elp says that Martha is trying to ensnare him and basically seduce him, and she makes a mockery of everything. And one thing she does that she shouldn't have, well, she said something that she shouldn't have said. One is that her husband and her are at their mercy. No, that's already admitting defeat and submission. Yeah. when fear arises. I feel you, Kashia. Um, and then you know you have Elps saying, "Y'all are not married. I don't see no ring on your finger, mind you. It's 1850." You know, blacks are still look. They lucky to be free, you know, and nobody is asking for freedom papers, you know. So we're going to ignore all of that, but that's how they be like, well, I don't have to say, you know, just because you all say that you're married, the tenets or the things that displays said marriages upon my society, you don't have. Therefore, y'all are like beasts in the field. That's basically what it was. Yeah, never let the enemy know the layout of your camp. Talk less at all times. That's right, Sister Kashia. But she was by herself anyway, which she shouldn't have been. She shouldn't have been by herself to begin with, you know. But you know, she was at that point. She was without a guardian, you know, and that was a problem, you know. But she argues with him and smacks Elps, and you know they lock him and Martha up, and then they charge him. They escape. They try to escape and leave. You know, when it's like already too late. They escape with their own horse, right? But then they're charged with being escape. You know, because they're apparently their property. You know, of the community, but you know, look, it's the wild west. You know, it's like you don't have no bill of sale, you don't have nothing. You just gonna claim these people, like you know. But like I say, it's the wild west. You know, but they charge them with escaping from their masters or whatever, and so they are found guilty and things of that nature, and their eyes are poked out, with a poker, flame poker. Grafton and Martha. Um, One thing that oh, my name is Precious. I didn't know Precious was in here, but Shalom. But what was interesting is how they did Martha's hair. It got me to thinking of they got her looking like, well, one, blackface, a blackface female character, but mainly the one of the characters in Uncle Tom's Cabin, which for me is either Topsy or Mopsy. For those that haven't read Uncle Tom's Cabin, came out pretty much during the Civil War, and there was these characters. We already know Uncle Tom and Sambo, and but there was also one called Topsy, and there was another one called Mopsy. That's they were all slaves and things of that nature. The author was Harriet Beecher Stowe, for those that don't know. But Elps tries to curse them, but it's then Martha curses them back. But then he says, the people of the world are against the African race. Yeah. And pretty much, hey, I mean, some great scholars have already told you that. Ain't Dr. Amos Wilson, Dr. John Henry Clark. Look, we got is us against everybody. Like people used to say, Detroit versus everybody. It's us versus everybody. Everybody. Even within the own camp, it's us against everybody. And sometimes it's probably how you got to look at it. It's us against everybody. Everybody that ain't us is a potential threat. But he says that. But she curses Elps, and the Bible goes up into flames, and all of a sudden, they are lynched. Her and her husband are lynched. in the church. But because of her curse, the town bursts up into flames, and Epps goes down into the basement, and he sees the child Miles that he's been fostering, and Miles tells he's like, this is the end. He's like, Miles like, this ain't the end. You've done well, my faithful servant. We see that Miles is a devil character. He says, when he was quiet, I answered you. Trying to make himself better than yeah. Most High Yah. He said, when he's quiet, I answered you. You know what I'm saying? And I set all this up, just to see, give you a test. And now I'm going to give you a mission. And I want you to, break, basically melanin rich people, as a demonic force. And but if you fail, then your soul will shatter and you will experience hell and things of that nature. His mission comes with a caveat, you could say. If you fail in your mission, and you're gonna suffer consequences yourselves. But Elps accepts the mission. Should have. I know it was coming. Sister Kashia should have went to watch. Dang on right. They had her looking like well, I'm not going to picking in. Yeah, that too. I wonder if Miles was in his head and not real. Could have been, but you can't really say that in a sense because he found Miles. Miles just didn't appear to him, at first sight. He had to find him. That's why you sort of can't say, it was all in his head. His delusion of, the Most High was all in his head, and things of that nature. But because of that, he was able to get, used, for this mission. But what we see also is that, the burnt Dutch village is, East Compton, where the Emery's have moved, and the basement or the cellar of, the church is actually built over by the house of the Emerys, which I already said that basement is older than what it's seen, in the house. And that's what you find out in this episode, So let that be a lesson to you when you get into some of these houses and things of that nature. She said, let me get my sage. You don't know what energies or who was there before you, or what tragic event happened. Do your research on houses. Yes, know the history of your house. So you won't have to go through this, apparently. So we get to episode 10 and we see Betty leaving the bunker, and Betty gets sniped by George, which, hey, we pretty much knew it was going to happen, but he sniped her off, picked her off. Now, I don't believe Betty's dead per se, because honestly, I think they're going to try to do a second season anyway. But yeah, because he's like, well, but she gets sniped. But we see, Lucky is prepared for surgery and and things of that nature. But also just think about the whole sanitarium, that she was in. It got me to thinking that, one thing, for one, it's basically was like a product of eugenics, for one, to sort of sterilize the malnourished female in this, in this series, by being, getting a lobotomy. But it also got me to think of also the final solution, by with the Nazis and things of that nature, you know, um, and whatnot. It also got me to thinking about Nazism as well when it came to the Dutch and them burning and lynching, Martha and Grafton because of how they were looking. It was like one guy said one thing and then it snared them to be like a vengeful mob, you know. You so that was another thing that got me to thinking in that space, you know. Yeah, make her more docile and agreeable to that culture, or just unresponsive. Because like Arnett, she was unresponsive. She knew something was wrong, but she couldn't respond like a natural human being anymore. But yeah, something like that. Um, so you know, we go back to the scene where um, Henry's being strung up, in the basement, and Ruby goes to get the axe, and she kills Earl, with the axe, and Henry's able to get released, and Marty runs outside, and he gets pistol whipped by Henry, in front of the neighborhood, and Marty's wife um goes outside, and now and she calls Henry a dirty n-word, and while a gun has been pointed at her husband's head, and which just stupid. But what movie it got me to thinking of, which everybody knows in this in this space, is what's the procedure when there's a gun pointed at your head? It was just playing in my head. What's the procedure when a gun is is aimed at your head? I ain't seen that movie in a long time, but for those that don't know, that's set it off, right? But it was playing in my head as he was pointing the gun at Marty, and here she is doubling down, with racial slurs, But you see Tab Dance, behind her, rubbing her belly, and laughing at Henry. But as Henry is outside, we see Ruby and they're locked inside the house, because the house is basically haunted, And we see Gracie is swiped by Miss Vera and Ruby by Doris. Now, mind you, what was good about this scene, what was good about this whole part, is that we see the different realms or the different parts of the house. And as Chief has said, parts of your house represent, pretty much the body and your makeup, pretty much. So it was very interesting to see where everybody was, right? But Henry goes back into the house, and then he's transported to a movie theater, and at that time, movie theaters were segregated, so you had colored people up top and things of that nature, and that also got me to thinking. But personally, this is the Great Migration, and not only did Black people move for jobs and things like that, they were getting away from danger. And for me, in my own personal history, it reminds me of a story I was told about my own family. They had to leave Alabama because of a movie theater incident. My grandfather was accused of throwing popcorn at white people from the balcony. And they came to his house and said, "Look, if you get your butt out of Alabama, or we gonna come back here and it ain't gonna be pretty." So we had to leave. We had to leave Alabama, and that's how we got up here. So somebody, for some of us, we came for many different reasons. But when I saw that movie theater, it made me think of my own personal history. I was like, yeah, movie theaters, segregated movie theaters, But you see tap dance also in the balcony messing with him. And he's like, where's my family? And he ain't playing with him. And we see Lucky escaping, But before she escapes, she saves a woman, learning something new. Oh, well, so shit, I didn't learn about that story till I was grown, because my grandfather had already transitioned. And it was the eldest of my cousins that told me that story, because out of all of them, his father was the only one that was the first one. He was the eldest, so his son was the eldest, and he was the only one that was born up north. So, it took me to go to New York to find out that story. And he just had it in front of, in front of his friends, because I didn't have nothing to talk about with them. And, here he is, this accomplished guy, and here I am looking like his hood cousin, because I didn't know, and he was just telling me this story, in front of his friends, front of his, white friends. And he told me the story. I was like, wow, I didn't know that. It was like, wow, for real? Yeah. Then I had to confirm it, So, yeah. So I still think about that story. I never forget about it. I'm glad that he shared it, Glad that he shared it just to know some things, because there's some people, some families don't share certain things and certain histories. But I give thanks to my big cousin for him sharing that with me, But what they about that movie thing is that they play "Let's All Go to the Lobby," and I'm young, but I do know the song because, I watched the whole movie, So that song was played during, movie theaters and also drive-ins, for those of us, some of us who have been to drive-ins before they all got taken down, But you see Lucky escaping. She kills one, like white female orderly, and saves melanin rich woman that's about to be lobotomized as well. And she passes, before she leaves, she passes a black guard, and she looks at him. He looks at her, and he goes back, read his book like, I ain't see you, because he already knows what they do there, right? But she keeps on going, which is a good thing. And we find out that the movie theater is where Henry and the girls were when Luck and Chester, got into that incident. And we see tap dance man call him on it, about that history. And here we have Henry. He has to watch what happens on the movie screen, And then we go back to Doris talking to Ruby, and why she was chosen. And then, because we find out that that's what Ruby really wants. She didn't want to be like her mother. And Doris tells her that you didn't want to be like your mother. You didn't want to be like them. So that's why I chose you. That's what was inside of you, to not basically be a melanin rich dominated person. You want to be of the dominant society. So let that be a lesson to you. Be careful. One, you got people in certain spiritual communities and things of that nature, and as they say their desires to these spiritual energies, not knowing if they have their best interests at heart or if they getting played or things like that. Like the old folks used to say, be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. So you have to be careful. You have to guard your soul, and remember that you are the master, not the servant. So yeah, but then we see Marty and Clark getting into it, and Marty's like, "Look, I'm just protecting what our fathers built." you know. And as you can see, he got the Winchester. I told you, that was one gun that they had. They had, old school Winchesters with the lever action. The theater part was so symbolic. How media deters us from what is important. Yeah, but that's remember. This is the 50s, so movies is like not that old, but it was, not just for entertainment, but it was a form of propaganda, especially during the 40s, especially during World War I and World War II and things of that nature, so just remember that. And keep that in your head, especially when you watch TV today. That's what I do. I always keep it in my head. What propaganda is this? What agenda are they trying to push? But we see, Marty calls Clark a dissexual, and Clark breaks his leg. And we see Lucky coming back, and she's met by the white women of the community, and they're yelling at her, and then she goes into the house. Yes, that was one of my favorite scenes in the entire series, right? And we see, man, let me just say, this entire series is considered horror to me. Yeah, but you know what? When I say this, when Lucky comes back, this was my favorite part, when Lucky comes back. And we see Lucky fighting Miss Vera, but who has the answer to stopping Miss Vera is Gracie. Gracie tears up the Miss Vera book and does kill Miss Vera, which she had the answer all along. That's why Gracie is so cool. And that's why children are so interesting. You see, she had the answer like that. She knew what to do. She wasn't second guessing. She tore it up, but you never be like mama. Why? Because she was searching for a teacher outside when she had a teacher all along, which was her mother, which is what she's supposed to be. Woman's the first teacher of the child, so she already had her teacher. She didn't need Miss Vera, But that was a very telling scene right there. The kid had the answer all along, and she didn't get second guess, But we see that, and then we see Ruby faces her inner demon, with which in the mirror looks like her mother, and in the bathroom, and she's saved by Lucky, because we find out that she don't even know what really happened, to Lucky and Chester. But Lucky explains, you don't have to ever know what really happened there, but know that I wouldn't hurt you. But what's like I say, what's good about this the scene, like I say, is it's the rooms of the houses or the realms of the house. Ruby is trapped in the bathroom. Now think about your bathroom for a minute. You know what I'm saying? But what was in that dang on bathroom? A lot of mirrors. You know, where she had to look at herself, and what she did not like was what she saw in the mirror. That's why she was in the bathroom. Gracie was in the closet. You know, so think about your own closet. You know, what's kept there is your clothes and whatnot. And sometimes, you know, as kids, where do we hide? Usually in the closet and things of that nature. You know, things that protects us and whatnot. You know, and you can say, and things that cover us. And her problem was her own covering, which was her mother. Her mother pretty much didn't cover her like she was supposed to. Therefore, and be her teacher. Therefore, Miss Vera was able to get to her. So I understood why it was the closet for her. So Henry, you know, we get to Henry, and Henry is watching the movie with the Tap Dance Man, and you know, and you know, Tap Dance Man says, when they gonna stop taking from you? You know, and Henry's like, dang, you know, and Henry's ready, you know, Tap Dance tells him, you know, go out there and fight them all. You know, you won't bully anyway. Fight them all. But we see luck comes to Henry, you know, as he has to, you know, face all these things, and she just grabs his hand, and then Henry says, you know, I just wanted to make everything all right. You know, the job and moving out here, that was basically his way of trying to fix the situation that they found themselves in with the incident. You know, that's, you know, the best way he thought to fix the situation. Peace, Sister Deirdre. Way beyond what I grasped. I love it. I never thought GHT about the individual locations. Yeah. But and Luck says, you know, I know, you know, she, you know, and you see that reconciliation with them, you know, but where was Henry? You know, Henry was in the bedroom. Now think about your bedroom. As she would say, you know, bedrooms, you know, is the most special place in the house because it hides all your secrets. And basically, this was a secret for them. They didn't tell nobody. You pretty much, unless you was there in North Carolina, they didn't tell nobody what really happened. And it was a secret that pretty much divided them in the home and things of that nature. So it made sense why Peace Stairs, why Henry was in the bedroom. You know. But at the and then we see Henry uses the last bullet, and he kills the Tap Dance Man and wipes the blackface off, and he sees, you know, it's a white man. You know. But like I say, I like this scene because of Luck. Luck is really doing what she's supposed to. She's protecting. She's being that spiritual protection. And you, as you see, Luck is able to travel through all realms like that. Like that. Let that be a lesson to you women. That's how you protect your family. You are the spirit, you know, you are that spiritual protection. Look, as she said, she's becoming that mama bear, you know. You know, she's the power behind the rule, but she's becoming that mama bear, and she was able to go through each realm and save everybody. You know, we are not, you know, no one's asking you to be the physical protection or the physical, you know, safety net. But when you are able to be the spiritual, you know, the spiritual protection, you see how good you work in that. And she just went through all the realms. She was able to save everybody, you know, even her man. Because, you know, nowadays, you know, as she said in the old podcast, you know, some, you know, he used the example. Well, I got my kids out, and I got out of there, and then she says, "Well, what about your man?" But look, she got the kids in her bed, so let that be let that be a message. Nobody gets left behind, as we say. As we say in the military, and she didn't leave nobody behind. She didn't say, "I'm gonna get my girls and we gonna get out of here." She saved everybody. She went through all realms and was able to get everybody and knew how to get everybody. Theirs was all already in her. She was already, on the ground. Bam. Just like that. So, well, one thing that's always interested me in this series is the music. And we here have, at that scene, we had David McCallum's The Edge, which, I think of, Dr. Dre and, Snoop, when that came on, but sample, I've never heard the original version. So now I got to hear it. Wow. But, we have, Henry saying, telling, Tab Dance, you ain't me, you ain't gonna never be me. And so as everybody gets together, Luck goes into the basement because she says it ain't over until the final, basically the final stage, final boss, and the door closes on the basement, And so she meets Elps and his congregation, his Dutch community. They're all there in the basement. And Elps tell her she's failed, and she sees Chester and things of that nature. But she holds Chester and she just keeps on saying, I'm right here. I'm right here. And then Chester disappears and she basically conquers Elp's illusion, and she says, she sees him. She keeps on saying that. For me, what she probably should say is, I see through you. And what I mean by that is that she sees through all of his tricks. She sees through all of his illusions and whatnot. It doesn't scare her no more. Basically, Luck is basically becoming the Jedi in that moment. That's how I rationalize it. It reminds episode 3 of the of Star Wars. When Luke meets Palpatine, and he's being tortured pretty much by Palpatine in front of Darth Vader, and he's like, "You join your father," and he's like, "No, I am a Jedi, just like my father before me." He already had it in him. So that's how I rationalize this scene. She had to basically deal with the trauma of Chester again, something that she's been buried deep down basement. What's in your basement? Basement is underground. So you see that she's hiding something deep down, which is the incident. She's buried it deep down, and you see that because she puts, Chester's body in the basement. So that's the realm that she had to go through. But she conquers it, and because she conquers it, she defeats Elps, and his body, and his basically his spiritual body burns, and now he first he becomes blind, then he burns, and then he has to have excruciating pain and things of that nature. So that's why I like this last scene, because of Luck and Gracie and things of that nature, because we see how spiritually powerful women can be when they, are not in the lower nature but the higher nature, and then like she say, they become them mama bears, what I'm talking about, and always protecting, like Ea Precious at that 4-5 she got. I know you got one. But they always protected, right? And so we see the Emorys are not able to go outside, and we see that the fire that was basically the firing line that divided, the white people, of the community outside is gone. And then you see the police out, the county police outside with the guns, and the Emorys come outside and they're staring back at the white community, and the white community staring back at them. And then you got, Young Gifted the Black by Nina Simone playing in the background, and it's just a standoff or a stare off pretty much. And then that's the end, right? But I think it's set up for that because this series did so good that they're going to leave it at that so they can have room for a part 2. But also, what also got me thinking with this is there was a lack of foresight, because of the simple fact that you have to think that during this migration, like I said, people came here for jobs, especially in the West and up north. But in the West, the issue would be is that basically, since this is the 50s and this is 53, basically like 20 years from now, those factory and industrious jobs that were in California and things of that nature, they wouldn't be there no more anyway. And then you have, all the onslaught of, single motherhood and broken homes and government, aid and things of that nature. But think about that. Nobody had the foresight to think past 20 years and say, these jobs ain't going to be here no more. They're going to outsource these jobs, to wherever. So we got to have a plan, because we probably ain't going to be staying here, 20 years from now. And if we are, we're going to have to come up with other source of income if we want to stay here, But yeah, things like Firestone and things of that nature, those jobs are going to leave. But nobody had that foresight, But at the same time, it's sort of probably important if you do move from state to state. Know the history of the state. know the history of the state that you are moving to. Just see how it got founded or whatever. For instance, I didn't know that about Oregon, but I do now. It's one of them states that you don't really care for, but I never knew that about Oregon, But you take like I say, you take so much from this series because it touches so much, and so it's like I say, it's sort of a lot, and a lot you have to think about, but it was good, it was good for that understanding, like I say, especially this last episode, because it got me to thinking, about what you said about the woman being the mama bear and things of that nature, and just seeing luck go through the realms of the house like that. That's why I can't say so much than I already have, because it was just so phenomenal just to say, that's how they do it. That's how, maybe not like that, but it's like, oh, so that's how you do it. Interesting, Shalom, Sister Manira, and whatnot. So, I mean, that's why I have enjoyed this series, and that's why I'm grateful for Sister Deirdre for basically requesting it and recommending it, because honestly, even when this series came out, I wasn't gonna watch it, but I'm glad that I did, because I got some insight from it, and things of that nature. So I'm glad for that. I give thanks for that, you know. So man, that's it. That's all we have for them. For them, right? Next week we gonna be at it again. Um, it sh- it should be Prometheus that's next, or is it Lone Wolf and Cub? I have to look at the school again, but that's what we have next. Strong. It's one of those two movies, I think. But oh, so DJ, I'm always open to suggestions, you know. So I give thanks for it. That one was a good one, you know. So I'm glad you did suggest it. But next strong, we gonna handle those. Yeah, one of those movies. I'll have to check the schedule again. Um, so join us tomorrow at a new global, you know, where we will be doing Shema Anu, you know, getting ready for the Sabbath and whatnot. Give thanks, Max. Yeah, I'm glad I watched it too. So I want to give thanks for everybody for showing up and showing out, you know, and we'll see you, see you next strong, you know. So I'm done, as I say. So give thanks, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your strong. Peace.